The night I caught my own mother drugging me so my sister could steal my newborn twins was the moment I knew we had to run for our lives. Today, I'm sharing the most terrifying, we need to escape intuition I've ever felt, along with 5 updates that follow this harrowing tale. Just a short while ago, I welcomed twin daughters into the world. Their arrival was a closely guarded secret, meant to be a joyous surprise for my loved ones. However, a month before their birth, my sister's infant tragically succumbed to SIDS, casting a deep shadow of grief over our family. When my twins finally arrived, everyone came to visit, except for my sister and her husband. I completely understood their absence, knowing they were still deep in mourning. Word of my twins' birth spread quickly. Soon after, my sister arrived at the hospital, accompanied by her in-laws. Her mother-in-law wasted no time, declaring that God had sent a new child for my sister, brazenly suggesting that one of my precious twins was the reincarnation of their lost baby. I asserted, unequivocally, that both babies were mine. Despite my words, they held my infants, exchanging glances, clearly convinced that one of them belonged to their bereaved family. My husband, sensing the escalating discomfort, swiftly retrieved our babies and ushered them out. Later that same day, my own mother visited, astonishing me by insisting I should give one of my twins to my sister, purely because of her ongoing sorrow. My refusal was immediate and absolute. "They are mine," I stated firmly. The very next morning, our security camera captured a chilling sight: her mother-in-law standing at our front door at precisely 3 a.m., engaged in what appeared to be prayer. A shiver ran down my spine. I immediately warned them to cease their presence. Yet, for an entire week, a disturbing pattern emerged. Each day, a mutilated bird appeared on our porch, and a crimson stain marred the exterior walls of our home. My husband and I exchanged glances, a mutual realization dawning upon us. We had to leave. My husband contacted the police, only to be informed that little could be done, as it might simply be someone playing a cruel prank. They confirmed the red substance was animal blood and offered to process a restraining order once we could definitively identify the perpetrator. My husband was certain, having reviewed our security footage, but I hesitated. These were my sister's in-laws, and I naively believed a conversation might resolve things. I was gravely mistaken. Following her mother-in-law's initial bizarre visit, I confided in my sister about the unsettling behavior, admitting how truly frightened we were. I'm unsure if my sister ever intervened, but the mother-in-law continued her ritualistic 3 a.m. appearances, standing on our porch, head tilted, muttering whispers. Then my sister herself confronted me, asserting I had no right to keep my own kids from her, suggesting I should feel guilty given her loss. She relentlessly pressed, asking how I would feel if I lost a child, revealing a deeply ingrained sense of entitlement, accustomed to always getting her way. My sister's campaign of terror intensified, bombarding me daily with thousands of messages and emails. The disturbing incidents escalated. One morning, we again discovered a grotesquely gutted bird on our porch, clearly placed with malicious intent. This pattern persisted for a full week. I called my sister, informing her that if her mother-in-law appeared again, we would contact the police. She never responded. A few days later, a wave of sickness swept over our entire household, myself, my twins, and my husband. I couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that someone had deliberately caused it, and my suspicions immediately turned to her mother-in-law. My own mother offered to stay and help, given our weakened state. As if the sickness wasn't enough, my husband was then involved in a severe car accident on the freeway. Someone rear-ended him, completely wrecking our vehicle. Miraculously, he wasn't seriously harmed. In another terrifying incident, with our children in the back seat, my husband's quick reflexes saved us from a multi-car pileup that tragically resulted in 2 fatalities. Then came the ultimate betrayal. One day, I allowed my mother to visit and assist with household tasks. That same evening, my husband returned from work and roused me from my rest, showing me shocking footage from our security camera. While I had been asleep, my mother had granted my sister and her husband access to our home. My sister was captured on video taking one of my twins, cradling her and, astonishingly, even attempting to breastfeed her. They were even taking family photos with my baby. I was overcome with alarm and absolute fury. Without hesitation, I immediately filed restraining orders against my sister, her husband, and my own mother. As if that wasn't enough, my husband made a horrifying discovery just before taking out the trash: a box of sleeping pills. It became horrifyingly clear that my mother had drugged my soup, explaining how I had been completely incapacitated for 8 hours. At this point, true terror set in. They were willing to do anything to seize my child. My husband and I made an instant decision. We had to abandon our home. We wasted no time, placing our belongings in temporary storage and seeking refuge in a hotel, which felt significantly safer. My husband diligently searched for a new residence, eventually finding one about 45 minutes away, far from everyone we knew. We took every precaution to remain discreet, striving to ensure no one could possibly trace our new location. Yet, on our very first night there, we again saw her mother-in-law standing directly in front of our new home. Fear overwhelmed me, and I broke down crying. Her relentless pursuit was deeply disturbing, leaving me utterly helpless. I immediately filed a separate restraining order against her. Our understanding landlord allowed us to break our lease without losing our deposit. Over the next year, we moved 3 more times, only to have the same chilling scenario repeat itself. Eventually, my husband secured an expensive but highly secure apartment, a condominium where access was strictly controlled and only approved guests were permitted. For 2 months, we experienced a fragile peace. Then, we made a horrifying discovery. My sister's husband had actually applied for a job at our apartment complex. He managed to sneak onto our floor and left a note on our door, stating their desire to see the baby. We reported this to management, terrified for our safety, and he was subsequently fired due to the existing restraining order against him. My husband and I were utterly drained. Even when we ventured out, there were unnerving instances where we felt certain we were being followed. All of this transpired before our twin girls even reached their first birthday. Imagine the profound exhaustion, the constant upheaval of moving from one place to another, all because members of our own family were trying to steal our child. Ultimately, my husband and I made the drastic decision to move abroad and live in hiding. We remained outside the United States for 5 years, believing they had finally given up their pursuit. We decided to return when my husband received an excellent job offer and promotion, settling into a condominium near his workplace. Honestly, I had never experienced such pervasive fear in my entire life, having to constantly flee with infants less than a year old. Update 1. A chilling revelation surfaced. My sister's mother-in-law had been convicted of her husband's murder a decade prior. Furthermore, we made a horrifying discovery of a room in her home filled with candles and photographs of various individuals. She was either praying for them or, more likely given the circumstances, engaging in some form of dark magic or spellcasting. Among those photos, prominently displayed on her wall, were images of my husband and me. This immediately explained our sudden, inexplicable illnesses and the series of unsettling car accidents we endured. My husband and I now have absolutely no intention of ever seeing or speaking to my family again. For the safety and well-being of our daughters, I have consciously chosen to sever all ties. Despite the persistent fear and profound trauma, we have, against all odds, managed to reconstruct our lives. I could never have conceived that such a nightmare could unfold, let alone happen to anyone. The depths to which disturbed individuals will sink to achieve their desires are truly astonishing, and in my case, it was my own blood. I can't even trust my own kin. Update 2. Many have asked about the current whereabouts of my sister and her husband. The last I heard was that they attempted to conceive again, which unfortunately resulted in a miscarriage. My sister, I've been told, is now grappling with a severe mental disorder. Separately, my mother reached out, expressing a desire to reconcile and apologizing for her actions, promising they wouldn't be repeated. I found her words hollow and immediately severed contact. Update 3. Despite our efforts to remain hidden, someone eventually divulged our general whereabouts to my sister. Thankfully, she was too late. She traveled all the way to Australia, mistakenly believing we were living there, unaware we had moved back to the States quite some time ago. A trusted relative later informed me that my sister is still actively searching for us. This cousin, someone I implicitly trust, ingeniously fed my sister a series of incorrect addresses and countries to travel to, deliberately exhausting her pursuit. It took her visiting 4 different countries before she finally ceased her relentless search. Honestly, if she ever does manage to find us, I am fully prepared to confront her and protect my family. If she steps foot on my property, I will ensure she leaves. Update 4. Yes, my sister actually attempted to sue us. Remember the incident where my mother let my sister and her husband into our home after drugging me, causing me to sleep for 8 hours? Well, they didn't stop there. They escalated their audacity by attempting to sue us, preposterously claiming we had stolen their baby. They presented the court with photos of her holding my child, taken within our own home. They even went to the extreme lengths of stealing my baby's birth certificate and forging it to bolster their utterly unhinged assertions. My mother appeared in court and testified on my sister's behalf, outrageously stating that my daughter was my sister's child. However, the court saw right through their fabrication. My delivery doctor and nurse provided compelling testimony, unequivocally confirming the truth of our parentage. During the hearing, my sister suffered a complete mental breakdown, screaming that my baby was hers and that I was undeserving of my own children. It was a dramatic and terrifying spectacle that left everyone in the courtroom in stunned silence. Update 5. After enduring everything that has transpired, my husband and I have made the definitive decision to leave the United States permanently. We concluded that our family's safety and peace could only truly be secured if we moved away. My sole desire is for my family to live serenely, protected from my deranged sister's relentless pursuit. This entire ordeal has been the most utterly exhausting experience of my life. Thank you all for your unwavering support. I genuinely appreciate all the advice and suggestions shared, and I will certainly bear them in mind.